Hello, welcome to Empower and Ignite Transformation Podcast with Alicia and Nicole. How are you, Alicia?
I am doing good. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well.
Woo,
So, guess what month it is?
woo, woo, woo. Tell us about
It's
it.
our favorite month, right? Mental
Yeah,
Health Awareness Month. Oh my gosh.
this
Yes.
is a big month. This is a big month. It is needed. It is, very important to make people aware that we're here. We're in mental health awareness. Let's go.
Yes. So I think that definitely for mental health to have its own month to bring about awareness, in the month of May, right? So I guess the M's is, uh, the fact that it's May and it's Mental Health Awareness Month. But I think that it's so important that we spread the awareness about mental health care. I know because this is our podcast and we always are talking about different topics around mental health. Um, but it's never ending. We can constantly talk about mental health care because it's so needed and
Yes.
we need to dismantle the stigma about mental health. So I just really am like excited about this episode and just diving in on all things mental health care, right?
Yeah, I think that's a good thing because, it's very important for us to even advocate, right? Let people even know the importance, how to sign up, what you're looking for when you start looking for that mental health therapist because it's just like physical health, right? We're going to check in, we're going to do those check-ins, make sure that everything is okay because again, life is life and sometimes life can take the best of us. So it's very important to just, take a moment, take a break from the world and have that that non-biased opinion, right? That non-biased objective way of looking at things. It could change your whole perspective.
Yeah, definitely. So when you said like, okay, so even when you think about finding a mental health provider, right? It's steps in a process. Just like people find their primary care doctor, it's so important that people not look at it grudgingly or like, oh my gosh, I gotta find a provider, but hey, I want to find someone because with mental health care, I'm hoping that people start to realize it really is a benefit and
Yes.
that you should just really enjoy taking care of your mental health just as much as you enjoy taking care of your physical health. Because I know so many people, they have it on the calendars like, oh, my doctor's appointment is this day or this month. Oh, I have this exam or this particular test that I need to have done. All of the different things related to physical health. Well, with mental health, you can go through whether it's on the back of your insurance card, call the customer service to find providers in your area. You can definitely Google and search providers, but you also want to look at the providers, what they specialize in, what it is that you might be looking for so that you can find the right fit. And
Mhm.
then not feel as if you go to one provider and that person is not the fit, that you would just stop there and not seek therapy at all or another provider because there's times where I've went to the doctor and the doctor might not have been the right person for me. Now, of course, I have the right doctors, and I've had them for years. But when I was younger, I would, like look for a particular primary care or a OB, and
Mhm.
you get suggestions from friends. You're like, hey, who's your doctor? But if that person isn't the fit for you, you go find another doctor.
Right. And that's with everything, every type of relationship, period. Any relationship, you have to make sure it's a good fit for you. And that's so important. And so, like you have mentioned, even when you find a provider, if that's through the Google, if that's through Psychology Today, through, let's say, your benefit web page, through your insurance, they also recommend different mental health providers as well. So once you do, start, maybe you would jot down a few of them, right? And then what you do is, a lot of the providers, they provide that free 15-minute consultation. I tell everybody, that's that dating period. That's like speed dating. Like, tell me why I should choose you, right? And that's the important part, right? Because now we're tapping into, okay, do we have this vibe, or do this person understand what I'm saying, right? You start to build that relationship. Even within that first 15 minutes, you could really tell, like, okay, you know what? I'm willing to give this person, this individual, a try. And then sometime in 15 minutes, you're like, okay, wait a minute. This is not,
Right.
the route for me. And that's okay, right?
Right.
Because as much as you are looking for the best fit for you, mental health therapists, they look for the best fit for them too, where they can feel as if they can really touch, reach, and make a difference as well.
Definitely. I'm so glad you said that, Alicia, because we're trained to do no harm. So
Mhm.
we're not just looking for clients to just have clients, right, on a roster. We're not like, oh, okay, so we just will take anyone. It really has to be where we know that we can service this client and the client will benefit from therapy through us. Sometimes it is where a therapist might have to refer out because that client has certain needs that we want to make sure that they get their needs met. We want to make sure that they get the services that is necessary for their well-being, right? So we definitely, as therapists, we advocate for our clients and even clients we don't know. I know when I get a call, if it's a consultation and a potential client is asking me questions, I am very thorough and open and honest about the services that I provide because I want the client to get what they need. So that's
Right.
so important that you said that, and I'm glad you shared that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think that that's so big. That's a really big, even talking point, right? The starting point of when you reach out is to look for that openness, look for that rapport to be built, in a sense of feeling like, wow, I have a connection. There's something about this person. They hear me. They
Right.
hear what I'm saying. And it's vice versa, the same thing. I want to make sure that the client comes in and I can hear them. Like we said, right? That's
Mm.
also is important, because if we're not, you know, as any relationship, a good fit, then it's hard. It's hard to build. It's hard to talk about life transitions, the work
Right.
of school, the stress of, of being, in the family, a mom, a dad, things like that. It's hard to talk about and conquer some of those tough things when you feel like, I barely even like this person, you
Right.
know?
Or they don't get me, right? Or they don't understand my culture. Even that can be something, right? So
Hmm.
not for people to feel like, oh, you have to go with a particular provider or that you would be offending someone because you really want it to be where you're comfortable, the rapport is built, like you said, so you can be open and honest. That's the only way therapy works. Um, and so just going back to wanting the best for the client and, as trained professionals, we are to do no harm.
Mhm.
And even with that, when you think about it, sometimes you can have a client and you could have had that client for 6 months, a year, sometimes a little over a year, depending on if it's more than one issue that's coming up. But sometimes a client can outgrow the therapy that's necessary for them through you, and they need to likely be referred to a new therapist for some other things, and that's okay.
That's so okay, right? Because you may specialize in, let's say, a depression, and someone else may specialize in, let's say, an anxiety, and that may be different, right? I'm done dealing with my depression. Now I'm just dealing with my anxiety, and so I want to go someone else, and that's totally fine, right? And then there's also the, like you said, that connection, because there's some people who are not faith-based. and they don't want a therapist who do focus on faith or who do incorporate, faith into their practice. Well,
Mhm.
then now we have another not of a good fit in a sense, right?
Mhm.
Like we're not mashing because maybe one does talk about God, another one don't even want to hear God in the conversation. That makes a big
Right.
difference. It
Yeah. Yeah, so you really can, what I'm hearing you say is you can find a therapist that specializes in certain diagnosis or even just in areas that you are wanting to do the work in, but also you can find therapists that maybe incorporate different modalities and different things and maybe Christian based, maybe, so definitely that's important for people to know that it's not cookie cutter. It's not one fit all. I always say, with the clients that I start to see, when you complete your intake form, on there it has what is your therapy goals, right? So we're
Mhm.
going to make that treatment plan based on your goals that you're wanting to achieve. So everybody may not have, and we know they don't have the same goals. And even if someone has similar goals, you're not necessarily going to get there the same way as the other person. So
No,
everything is fit and tailored to the individual client. I
correct.
don't want clients to think that, oh, you come to therapy and it's just this one cookie cutter way and we just do therapy the same way with every client. Some
No,
clients really need homework. They advocate for homework, and some clients don't want homework, right? And they're like, I don't want to do no homework. And
no,
so you have to really, when you're with your client as a therapist, you're asking them key questions that will benefit them to be able to get them to the process of the journey on healing. And so that takes different tools and techniques.
yeah, and I think like you said though, like because there is no limit, there is no time, everyone's different, there is no cookie cutter. It's all individualized. And so like you said on that intake form, this is why we express the importance of being honest, right? It's just like you go to a regular physical doctor for your physical health, regular MD, you want to be honest. You want to be honest about what is going on because that is going to help the diagnosis on getting you better. The same exact thing, being honest with the therapist on what are you looking for. And so that is the big out the gate of, well, I already contacted three, I'm not contacting no one else, I'm going to go with her. Well, no, because again, you want to be honest on what you're looking for, because again, that's all going to play into what that individualized treatment plan will look like to help you, to benefit you. And so yeah, so there's so many avenues and so many ways to start tapping into, okay, maybe I should look into mental health. What it would look like, what is the first step for you, and things like that. Like that's all going to play into, moving the train along, because that's what it is. It's just the first step of contacting and moving the train along.
Definitely. That's so key, Alicia. And when you said, even with the individualized treatment plan, right? Sometimes people may come in and not be clear of what goals they want to achieve. That's
Mhm.
okay too.
Correct.
Like, it's okay. I tell my clients, like, if there's a question on the intake form that you don't have an answer for, that's okay. Because as we continue to dive in sessions, you're going to become self-aware. That's what a big piece of the therapy is becoming self-aware.
Right.
And so you don't have to come in knowing all the answers. That
Mm,
keeps people sometimes from even taking the steps because they think that if you had all the answers, you wouldn't be here.
correct.
Life is showing up for you and you're likely blocked or stuck or just even in a state of a emotion or mood that you're wanting to get through, and that's why you're in therapy.
Yeah. You know what gets to me when people be like, I'm not going to therapy for them to tell me just a journal. Well, I mean, obviously, there's not only one way to do everything, right? And that's where, when you go back to that individualized, it comes to just that. Like you said, we're going to sit there and there's more than one way to skin a cat. Ain't that what they say? So it's the exact same way. There's more than one mindfulness technique. There's more than one self-care way. There's more than one. And so that's where that individualized, you're going to try different things and you're going to test it out
Right.
and you find what works for you. And that's where the importance of the healing comes in at, right? You
Yeah,
find what works for
definitely.
you, not what works for the general population, because that's not really a thing. You're an individual, and us therapists, we see that.
Yeah, definitely. And it's so many different, what you're saying is there's so many different modalities. And so we may not have the same approach for each client because it wouldn't make sense for us to have the same approach, use the same approach. Somebody might be CBT, right? And we know the terms or the acronyms, but cognitive behavior therapy, for those that do not know. But then somebody else might need solution focus, right? So it just varies. And so I just really want people to know that your therapy experience, your time in therapy is going to be tailored to your needs and what you have and want to work through as it relates to healing for sure. And sometimes when I think about clients that I may have that may not be going through a healing journey, but just really is wanting to make sure that they're processing day to day and life
Right.
circumstances because life be lifing, right? Is that what it
Yeah.
is? Life be lifing. Listen. So, I have those clients that I see once a month,
Hmm. Right.
just as check-ins, just as, hey, this is what's going on with me, whether it's in my career, whether it's me wanting to find love again, and what thoughts and emotions is coming up, that's, could be a hindrance or even just just wanting clarity on things. It's so many different reasons why a person would come to therapy and not necessarily be on a healing journey, but they're like, listen, I know life can take a toll, and I want to be able to have this outlet to be able to process what's going on in my life with someone. And therapy allows you to have a different perspective. You receive a different perspective, and I also know that people sometimes think that people come to therapy to get answers, and that's not what therapy is. We don't provide answers to you. We don't tell you what to do.
Yeah, no, no, no. And that's big. I'm so happy you said that because the whole point is for you to come up with your own, right? It is the whole point of getting you to process the stress of life or whatever the issue may be and be like, okay, now I'm able to manage it on my own. So like you said, some people come just for maintenance once a month. And that's so big that you said that because I know a lot of people be like, I don't have time for therapy. It's time consuming, blah, blah, blah. But it's like you don't have to go once a week. You don't have to
Right.
go twice a week. You don't have to go bi-weekly. You can literally go once a month. So it's like the how often the frequency of your therapy is based off of what you're trying to achieve,
Right.
right? Because it's based off of you, but then it's also going to be based off of how your time, like how fast you're trying to. Like, am I trying to really heal from childhood trauma within 3 months? Maybe I'm going to go twice a week to really push myself. Or maybe, I just need to go slow because it's too overwhelming. And that's okay too, right? And so
Yeah.
that's where it's so important to be
Yeah.
honest on, okay, how are you processing? How are you feeling? What is really bothering you and getting down to that bottom, that base,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah. I'm so
And
glad you said that, Alicia, because when you said, so if someone is trying to rush through, sometimes it is where people, you may have clients, and I know I have had clients say, I don't want to keep feeling sad. I don't want to keep crying. I want to hurry up, right? And get over this, right? And I tell them healing is a journey. So when you're trying to hurry up and get through something, why? Why can't you sit in it, right? What is that really about? But then also you said, um, that it's times when clients are like, okay, what was it that you just said? Oh my gosh, it was so good. You were like, not just them.
Time to go through therapy
So you
or
said they may want to hurry up, but
hmm
then you also said another piece. Um, Hopefully it comes back to me,
okay.
of how a client might want to be in therapy and think
Oh,
it's about time frame.
okay. Okay. Because it could have been the needing more time because they're feeling overwhelmed with emotions. And
There
so
you go. Thank you
okay.
so much. Thank you. So, once someone, because remember, you, when you think about it, you said childhood trauma, time frame. So, it can be where a person stops and they're like, this too much. It's heavy.
Mhm.
I didn't know it was going to bring up these emotions. I thought I was ready.
Right.
I'm not ready. I don't want to go through this. I don't want to go back there. So that was so key. And sometimes people are wanting to rush through, and we want you to be safe on your healing journey. And so it's really when you're ready. I don't push, and other therapists shouldn't. I can't, I'm not in the room with them, but it's your journey. And so we want you to be safe and comfortable where, hey, when you're ready, that's when we address. And that's it. It takes time for some people to get there. And so sometimes people are wondering, well, how long will I be in therapy?
Mhm.
Everybody is different.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and some people have been in therapy for years, depending on the traumatic experiences and what they need to work through and heal through. Some people may have been in therapy for a short period of time because remember, I spoke on solution focus. It can be where you have a short period of therapy, whether that's 4 sessions, 6 sessions, depending on what is going on. Once the solution is there, you may not need to come back, for a period of time unless you go into maintenance phase, right? So
Mhm.
everybody is different. That's so important that you said that. Because I know that there's clients that have been in therapy for years. Some people enjoy it so much so because they know it's a benefit. Just like you go to the doctor for years. When you are born, you have that immunization card, and then it
Yep.
starts from there. And you never stop going once a year.
Right.
Then as you get older, pick up
And then the dentist, you go what, twice a
twice
year?
a year,
Eye
tooth cleanings a
doctor,
year.
yeah.
Hmm.
So you
Yes.
visit and you check in on all these other aspects of health, but we can't forget that mental. And I think that that's like the huge takeaway, right? It just don't forget that mental. That mental is gonna be really big on
Yes.
just moving forward and just coming from a whole place because that's all we can do is try our best to come from a whole place.
That
So
is, listen, when you do the healing and the work to heal, that's the goal, to show up healthy and whole in relationships, in your life. You'll see the benefit of it. You'll become self-aware. Definitely. And even when things come up for you, you'll learn tools and techniques to be able to apply it. Like
yeah.
it's so much that you can get and gain from therapy. I am like really such an advocate for therapy, not just because I'm a therapist, but because I benefited from therapy.
Mhm.
So I know how important therapy is and the benefits of therapy.
Yeah, yeah, you've seen how it can help, and you see, like, how other people being as a therapist, you can see how it help other people, and then it's like, "Wow, I'm a believer," right? It's
Yes.
always one of the things like, I see it, I'm working it, I understand it really can be beneficial, and I think, like, we spend time and we kinda talk about therapy, almost individualized treatment plan, things like that, right?
Mhm.
But I just kinda wanna just move to the fact that we don't mean just individual, right? You have the family therapy, you do have the relationship, you have the premarital, the marriage counseling, right? So
Mhm.
you do have different avenues of different ways to rebuild and work on each of those relationships. So it's almost one of them things that, we always say, if you did the best you can. And the best you can sometimes take a middleman, right? It takes somebody in there to help guide that communication. And that's okay.
Yeah.
It's fine to reach out. It's fine for you, your partner, you and, a mom, dad, things like that. Maybe you and aunties just not getting along, but y'all want to, and that's the biggest thing because you have to want. You
Yeah.
have to want. That's
That's
the
the
biggest.
first step is the
That's the
desire
first
to
step.
want better and like
Mhm.
really wanting to do the work. Yeah.
Right. And like you said, wanting to do the work. And so that's so important because when we go back to that time frame and people start talking about, well, how long can I be done in 3 months? Are you doing the work to be done in 3 months as well? And that's so big, if it's something as like, just sitting down and taking a moment to practice self-care because you're there for burnout and you just refuse to kind of really do it, then you only can move as fast as you're willing to do the work.
Right. Yeah.
And
If you're
that's
not
the killer.
implementing, yeah, that's so true. I'm so glad you said that, Alicia,
Same
because
thing with losing weight, right?
yeah.
Can't lose weight until you kind of maybe say, one cookie was enough. Maybe I won't do the whole pack, right? You're not
Mhm.
going to make those changes or nothing's going to change until something actually changes.
Right.
And,
Action.
that's everything. Right.
Yeah, yeah, that's so key for sure. I'm so excited that it is Mental Health Awareness Month and we get to advocate all month on the
Yes.
importance of mental health care.
Yes, and I think that that's, the biggest thing. I think this month is going to be so important to even talk to a friend, talk to a coworker, talk to someone you're comfortable with about the importance of mental health and just, take the first step as in just getting started. And
Yeah.
that's is, step one, right?
So we all gonna start to dismantle the
Mhm.
stigma. If we could get a tribe, listen, I know we tell you guys to share and like, but it really is so important that everybody just start to talk about mental health care and really advocate for it, dismantle the negative stigma around mental health care. If it just starts with one person at a time, just really sharing. And if you are in therapy, share that therapy journey in the sense of not what you talk about in therapy, but just how it is a benefit.
Yeah, yeah. And now with it being mental health awareness, I kind of just want to end with, just giving out a little bit of advice. You could go onto Eventbrite, you could put it into Google around your local area. You can even search on Facebook and find like different mental health groups and they will host like a free 1 hour session on stress or depression, and it's just like hearing other therapists just give you that it's almost like a healing circle and you could do it virtually, you could do it in person, things like that you could register for. Some is free, some may cost, of course that's up to you on which one you will like to kind of which route you would like to take, but just knowing that those options are out there, just okay, I'm just going to be just check in just for a minute and learn how to do new self-care tips. Maybe that's what it's about, 50 minutes of 20 self-care tips that I can do and that you may take away a new thing that you may like, a new hobby, a new goal that you want to accomplish. So just knowing that there's other resources out there, and that is a part of being aware.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for sharing that tip and how they can go about researching groups and other, resources for mental health care this month and even going beyond May because we want you to definitely implement and like it's not just for the month of May, it's ongoing. Groups are available as well, depending on what you need. There's grief groups, a variety of groups. So definitely, I want people to know that it's out there. So that's important. And just that it really is where don't let people tell you just their experience. You need to know for yourself and you could try it for yourself, so you can be able to know and not just take somebody's word for it, but
Mhm.
it is a benefit. It really is. Once you find the right fit, the person and therapist for you, build the rapport, do the work.
That's it.
Amazing.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah. Well, this is great. This is great. I love this. So we just always want to remind, everyone to please like and subscribe. And please, check us out on Instagram and TikTok at Empower and Ignite and the number 2.
Yeah, share our channel. All right, take care.